I never wanted to be the person who said those words out loud. I was only a junior officer that day, sitting at the far end of the table, 3 seats away from our ambassador. My job was small. I was there to take notes, pass documents, and pour tea when needed. Nobody expected me to matter in that room. But sometimes, the person who remembers a moment the most is not the one who caused it. It is the one who was quietly watching. We were deep into a long meeting called the Compact Disclosure. Every new species that wanted to join the Galactic Compact had to sit through it. In this meeting, each species had to openly share how strong they were. They had to explain their weapons, their ships, their factories, and their energy systems. A calm alien race called the HFY sat in the room too. Their job was simple but powerful. They could sense truth. If someone tried to lie, even a small lie, the HFY would know. This made the meeting serious. Nobody wanted to be caught lying in front of the entire galaxy. I was told before the meeting that this event was mostly a formality. Every species had done this before us. It was supposed to be calm, slow, and honestly, a little boring. I believed that too, right up until it was our turn to speak. Before us, a Trellian officer named Vosk stood and spoke with pride. He had 6 arms and skin like polished metal. He listed his people's ships, their war fleets, their factories, and their reactors. He spoke with confidence, like someone who had done this many times before. When he finished, the HFY confirmed that everything he said was true. The room nodded. This was normal. This was expected. Then it was our turn. Our ambassador, whose name was Reyes, stood up slowly. I had worked with her for almost 2 years, and I noticed something in the way she paused before speaking. She always took one careful breath before saying something heavy. It was like she was placing down something light so she could pick up something much bigger. She looked around the room and said, "Our current military and industrial power is about 1% of what we are capable of." For a moment, nobody said anything. I expected people to laugh, or maybe ask her to repeat the sentence, thinking she had made a mistake, but that is not what happened. Instead, the room became very still. I watched the HFY representative, a small silver-eyed being named Petheth, go completely stiff. Petheth had listened calmly to every other species that day, but now, something had changed. "This is true," Petheth said softly. "There is no lie in these words, no exaggeration either." Vosk, the Trellian officer, slowly lowered 2 of his 6 arms. I later learned that this was his way of showing surprise, almost like someone holding their breath. 1%, he repeated, staring at Reyes. "Of a number you have not even told us." "That is correct," she replied. "You asked what we are currently using. You did not ask what we are capable of using. Those 2 numbers are very different." I want to be honest about what happened after that sentence, because many stories like to describe alien meetings as loud, dramatic, and full of shouting. But this was not that kind of moment. It was quiet. It was the sound of every alien species in the room, silently calculating what her words truly meant, and slowly realizing they did not like the answer. One alien delegate, whose skin was usually clear like glass, turned a strange shade of blue that I had never seen on him before. 2 HFY representatives moved closer together. I learned later that this was a sign of stress. It meant they sensed something powerful but could not yet measure it. "Please explain," Vosk said. His voice had lost its earlier warmth. It was serious now. Reyes looked toward me for just a second. It was a quiet reminder. Do not let this sound like bragging. Let it sound like simple truth. "We are a young species," she said. "Compared to most of you, our history in space is very short. We built our first machines, explored our own planet's moon, and studied our own bodies deeply, all within a very short amount of time. We say this not to boast. We say this because it matters. Almost everything you see from us, our ships, our energy systems, our defenses, all of it was built quickly, and often during difficult times. We built these things while facing struggles among ourselves. We have never built anything during a long period of peace with the rest of the galaxy. Not yet." She paused again, letting her words settle. 1% is not something we are proud of," she continued. "It is not a boast. It is simply a fact about caution. Every reactor we build has more power available than what we actually use. We choose not to use the full power because using it costs resources. Those resources are needed elsewhere, for medicine, for food, for helping our own people heal after difficult times in our history. Every shipyard we have built has extra space we have never filled, simply because, until a few years ago, we had no real reason to build beyond what we needed for our own solar system. We are not hiding a hidden army to threaten anyone. We are telling you the truth. We have never had a reason, or the resources, to discover our true full strength. Vosk's mouth moved in a strange way. Later I learned this expression was something between a laugh and a warning. You are telling this council, he said slowly, that your own species does not know its true maximum strength. I am telling this council, Reyes said calmly, that nobody has ever forced us to find out. And we would like to keep it that way. That final sentence was the most important part of everything she said. I watched it land across the room. It was not a threat. It was something softer, but somehow even stronger. It was a simple, honest request. She was not trying to scare anyone. She was explaining, clearly, that pushing humanity toward its full strength would not be good for anyone, including us. Petheth spoke again, this time addressing the whole room instead of just us. I want to be precise, because precision matters in moments like this. I do not sense any bad intentions from this delegation. I do not sense a trick or a bluff. What I sense is discomfort. They seem uncomfortable saying this number out loud, almost as if it embarrasses them more than it makes them feel powerful. That observation was completely accurate. Weeks earlier, while preparing for this very meeting, Reyes had explained something similar to me privately. We are not proud of the 1%, she had said. It means that for most of our history, we assumed the worst about each other before we ever had the chance to meet anyone else in the galaxy. The truly uncomfortable part is not the 99% we choose not to use. It is that we built the ability to use it because we were afraid of ourselves, long before we ever met any of you. Back in the meeting room, one more alien delegate spoke. His voice came out flat and careful through a small device attached to his throat. What situation would cause your people to increase your power beyond 1%? Reyes answered without pausing. The same thing that would push any of you to do the same. A real threat to our people's safety. That is the entire answer. It is not complicated, and it is not a secret we are hiding. We do not grow our strength because we want more power. We grow it only when survival requires it. Our history proves this clearly, and we have already shared that history openly with the Compact for review. Vosk finally allowed his arms to relax slightly, although two of them stayed curled, as if he was still cautious. Then let me ask the only question that truly matters to this council, he said. Do you plan to stay at 1%?
That depends completely on all of you, Reyes said.
We did not join this compact hoping to find a reason to grow stronger. We joined hoping we had finally found a group of neighbors who would give us a reason to stay exactly where we are. Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered loudly. This was not that kind of room, and this was not that kind of moment. But something in the air changed. I could feel it in the way the different delegates began speaking quietly to each other right after the meeting ended. Old assumptions about our species were being reconsidered in real time. Later that evening, Petheth found me privately and explained something important. The Ashuan people had a special term for what had just happened in that room. They called it a truthful warning. It was, according to Petheth, one of the rarest and most calming things any new species could offer during first contact. It removed all guessing. Nobody in that room needed to worry about a hidden fleet somewhere in the shadows. They now understood, without doubt, that nothing was hidden. Humanity simply had never needed to use its full strength before that day. That night, I wrote my private report. I added one line that I chose not to include in the official compact record, because it felt like something personal, rather than something official. I wrote, "We did not frighten them by showing our strength. We frightened them by showing how much of it we had never needed to use." 3 days later, something happened that surprised me even more. Vosk requested a private meeting with our ambassador. I was allowed to sit quietly and observe. "I have served on this council for many years," Vosk told her. "I have heard countless species describe their strength. Some lie completely, some stretch the truth, some simply do not know their real numbers because they have never needed to test them in real conflict. But you are the first delegation I have ever listened to who described your own strength as something you feel relieved not to need." Reyes simply nodded. That is the entire point, Officer Vosk. We would like to keep feeling that relief for a very long time. He then extended one of his 6 arms toward her, a gesture I later learned was the traditional Trellian offer of friendship and alliance. She reached out and accepted it without hesitation. I do not know if that single meeting changed the entire galaxy. Real diplomacy rarely works through one dramatic moment, no matter what old stories like to claim. But I do know that meeting changed how every species in that room saw us afterward. It was not exactly fear. It was something more useful than fear. It was careful respect, along with a quiet understanding that the species running on just 1% of its strength had not gotten there by showing off. We had gotten there simply because we had never been forced to ask ourselves what our true limit really was. Even now, whenever someone asks me what a successful first meeting between different worlds should look like, I think back to that room. Success does not look like a powerful fleet suddenly appearing above someone's home planet. It looks like a quiet room full of strangers, calmly doing careful thinking, slowly realizing that the number they should think about is not the one you told them clearly. It is the one you never had to reach at all.